Hey, what's up, podcast? Welcome back to the Avoiding Broke podcast with me, Jermaine.
And me, Leanne.
And hope you're having a really awesome day. And guys, today is a really, really special version of the podcast because it's a birthday special.
Yes.
Leanne's birthday today, isn't it?
It is. Woo.
Woo-hoo. And so we've got a family edition podcast. It's the two of us. Our little boy's just over there with cheese in his hair, eating some lunch. And yeah, we thought we would do a bit more of a reflective type podcast today, right?
Yeah. Seems like the right time to do it.
100%. So, birthdays are a time we often sit back and think about what we've learned, what we want to do for the next year ahead. And what we thought we'd do is we'd just look at 3 key questions to reflect on what we've learned through this whole Avoiding Broke journey, right?
Yes.
So we started Avoiding Broke. It really came out of this whole COVID period where we wanted to bring more of our knowledge and experience and just share it just to try and help all of you guys, right? So anyone who might really need a bit more assistance during this time, and that's what we've been trying to do.
Yeah.
And so I think we will be giving our perspectives on 3 key questions. We'll share them with you, and hopefully you can learn something from the decisions and mistakes that we've made, and you can take it into your own lives and help you move forward.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah?
Yes.
Ready to go?
I am definitely ready.
So who should go? Who should be question master first?
You can ask me first. Because I
Sure
asked you
thing.
last time.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good to me. All right, so during this whole time, right, what is the best financial decision you think you've made?
The best financial decision, it was a decision that we made to really try and use this opportunity to cut back our expenses and put as much as we can into savings.
That's 2 things, so which one is the key? For you?
Savings.
All right, and just going a little bit into a bit more detail about what we did and why it was so important.
So what I thought was really important was the emergency fund just really seemed to become really key for us because it's a whole time of uncertainty, and that's the period of time when actually that emergency fund can give you that little bit of certainty in terms of your financial position, and if anything does happen you can absorb those shocks. Like, we had no idea whether our jobs were safe or anything like that. I guess nobody still knows. So for me, the decision to actually tuck money aside, not to spend it, just to save it for that emergency fund and to try and bolster that was, I think, the best decision that we've made, and we've stuck to it. So
let's just go a little bit deeper, right? So how were you doing it, right? So it's easy to look and say, oh, we want to have more in our fund, but you've still got to kind of make very conscious moves to make that happen. You've got to enable it somehow. Yeah. So tell me, go deeper. How are we making sure that was really possible?
So I think we were thinking about the money that we were saving during this time. So we weren't travelling, we weren't having lunches out, we weren't eating out, none of those kind of things. So we thought, well, okay, so we're not doing that. What do we then do with that money? And for me, I think it was, let's make sure that we save as much as we can. Yeah,
and look, my recollection from the time as well is it wasn't as simple as we just had this massive pot of money just magically appear. The hardest thing for me, the best decision that we made, was to go back to real core basics. What is the minimum amount of money we can survive on? And then almost set the floor. So just say, for example, we need to survive on 100. When we then needed to understand what were the things that we really wanted to make sure we had. And let's say that number then went up to say 150. We then worked really hard to get down as close to that 100 number as we could do. I mean, I was sat at the same place at our kitchen table for about a week on the spin, probably till about 1 or 2 a.m. every single morning, looking at every single bit of money we were spending, and calling every single company. I mean, utility provider, service provider, travel company, insurance. Every single company I've personally called and have either negotiated a better deal, cancelled things that we had, or found out if they had any provisions in place just to help our finances at that time. That was properly deep, dedicated focus on creating extra money in our budget.
It's true. And I think
wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy, but we made the decision early and quickly.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure that in this podcast, because I want to give really big value, let's make sure we go deep on what we actually really did, because we've had some great questions in from our listeners to really understand how are we actually doing all this stuff. Guys, I'm telling you for free, I sat and spent hours there's a chair just down there, we're in our dining room now. I sat there for hours and went through everything forensically. There was no shortcuts.
No,
it was hours and hours and hours of making sure I understood where all our numbers were moving, and we revised everything. Everything.
It's true, we even put together, because we had a budget before, we had a pre-COVID budget.
Very good budget.
We put together a different budget.
Yeah.
A COVID budget, so that we could actually put in place what you're talking about. And we went through every single line of that, like you said, forensically, to see where we could make savings.
Absolutely.
Or cancel things.
So, guys, everything we talk about on Avoiding Broke, I never ever want to hide from anyone the amount of time it takes. It takes a long time. And, I appreciate the comments and the feedback that help, that ask for a bit more detail, because it does take a long time. It's having a vision, which we try to share a lot on here, is only part of it. But the work ethic that sits underneath it is crucial. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, so let's look at question 2 then. So what is the best personal growth decision you've made at this time?
Okay, so I think we may have different ones for this one. So I can say for me personally, it's one that I probably made quite recently. It took me a while to get there, and with your help, I kind of got there, is that I need to think about kind of who I see in my life as like a mentor, somebody that I can learn from, and to buy those books or speak to somebody that can really help me with that, because that's not something that I've really focused on in the past. Like, we read a lot of the similar stuff and we listen to similar podcasts and stuff like that, but actually really thinking about, for me personally, what would really help me. So that's something that I did recently. So I bought some books that are now piled up next to my bed, much to Jermaine's frustration.
This mountain of books.
Those of you that know us know that Jermaine is very. I'm tidy, but Jermaine is very, very. Jermaine's a moniker. If you get the Friends reference. That's
ridiculous.
And so I've got 3 quite chunky books on my bedside table.
I'm going to move us through. Finding a mentor is a brilliant shout. Yeah. Brilliant shout. It is the best and quickest way to supercharge your learning and development. I think it's a brilliant shout, and you're also a little bit messy. So we'll move on. All right. And what is the best decision that you feel you've made that has really helped your career in some kind of way?
For me and my career, it's during lockdown, is to just speak up. There is just no room for any ambiguity, nothing like that. And that really came about for me because I was working and we had Theo at home because his nursery had closed.
Yeah.
And so it couldn't be the case where I would be like, have a bit of an idea about something and think, oh, let me just give myself a bit of a chance to mull this over before I share it with my colleagues or anything like that. Or if I could see an issue coming up in one particular area, give myself time and space to think about it. It was, I needed to speak quickly because I knew with Theo, I just didn't have as much time as I would previously. And I think it really helps just being upfront about things like, I can't make this meeting because I've got Theo, or I can be on this meeting, but I may have to be on mute because Theo's going to be with me at this time, or things like that. It's just, for me, that, and I learned that really early on, I just needed to talk up, speak.
That's a fantastic one. And guys, everything, there are so many different types of leadership that we can sometimes hear about and see. And I think that's a really different type of leadership where you start leading yourself a little bit more. And you worry a bit less about what people might think. And instead you just share your honest opinion. And I think that lesson, you can apply it to really anything. Because if you share with people honestly and respectfully, you can really help yourself when you need it the most. And I think your example is a fantastic one. Because we needed it, actually. We needed that help a lot.
We really did need it. And Theo changed so much during lockdown as well. I think he's at that age where he's developing so quickly. He's now about 19 and a half months. And so when lockdown started, he was literally 14 months old. And so it's a big difference between where he is now and where he was then. And so his needs have changed. So our needs at work have changed. And therefore, by keep talking and keeping people up to date, you're managing people's expectations.
But really. I think let's take that point and let's be really clear, guys. We know that a lot of our listeners will have, say, children, for example, at different ages, or you may have older family that you look after. So this principle, it applies. It's not just not just to a baby. I think it applies to anybody. If you work as part of a team and you have got different needs at any point, and lockdown has changed all of us. There is no question about it. It's so important to realise how much we rely upon broader teams and broader communities to actually survive. And so that's why it's so important that we have that honesty, the transparency and the respect, because we're part of a big community. Okay?
Most definitely. Yeah, I think you've summarised it beautifully.
Cool. All right. Well, look, 3 good ones from you. Right.
No, it's on to you.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Let's go for it. It's okay.
I'm going to try and speak a bit less than Leanne, but
Okay.
I'll try.
I'm sorry, I do waffle on occasionally.
Go for it.
Best financial decision, Jermaine?
Okay. I knew what the questions were. I don't know why it's taking me so long to actually figure this out. The best financial decision I think that we've made is I've really, really early during this whole kind of COVID period, I started to... I wanted to have what they call first mover advantage on everything I did. And so I made sure I assumed worst case scenario and worked back from it with everything that I've been involved in, and it's paid off massively. So when we started lockdown, I assumed our job could be under pressure. I assumed that stock markets were going to be challenged. I assumed our domestic budget was going to be under a lot of pressure, and very early managed to get costs under control and also started generating income in different ways, which was fantastic. I've also done it recently, but there's been a bit of turmoil in stock markets, and I was pretty early in expecting a lot of problems, expecting the value of assets to fluctuate massively. I made some very aggressive moves with our investments, and I think that's really helped. So that for me is the best financial decision. I put to one side every assumption I had. I focused on wanting first mover advantage, focused on being brave with all of my money decisions, every single one. I've been really on the edge on everything.
Definitely have.
But I think we've only had upside.
Yeah.
Because we're managing the risk, right? We're not careless, but we're taking much bigger risks than we've ever done before, and I think we've only had upside. It may not always be upside, but we certainly have learned a lot about how to be brave.
That's true. You have really driven that for us. Massively.
Massively.
Yeah.
Massively. Number one.
Okay. So now, best personal growth decision.
Guys, my best personal growth decision, and anyone who knows me will know this, is I double down on reading. I've read for a long, long time. And recently, particularly, I'm just absorbing everything. Books, podcasts, YouTube. Oh my gosh, man. My YouTube hours are ridiculous at the minute. But I'm trying to absorb great lessons from great teachers. And so the best decision I've made is to actually, it's probably been to identify the best teachers on YouTube and basically absorb their content every single day. Because it has massively accelerated my learning curve. And it's probably given me the best skills that I've needed to make some of our big money decisions.
Yeah, it is true. You always have it on in the background, whatever you're doing.
No matter what I'm doing.
You fit it in around everything that you do
100%.
Here. So I think that's really worked well. Okay, so best career decision.
Well, let's jump on that point you just made, right, about fitting things in.
Okay, yep.
For me, the best career decision that I've made during lockdown is to understand the importance of just fitting things in. So the best example is our little boy, because I like to be a very hands-on dad. We really try to have equal responsibility as parents and everything. And the key thing for me is to make sure that we can still achieve what we want to in life, but make our son part of it. We've done a good job of that kind of thing when it comes to things like holidays.
Yes.
Theo's done some pretty cool stuff for a young guy. But honestly, even now, as we're recording this podcast, you may not believe me, but he's sitting right there. He's just had his lunch, and we don't usually let him have too much iPad time, but he's watching a little film, and he's being as good as gold. And I think learning how to have that life that we're having together, because we had a massive family morning this morning.
Yeah.
You see us sitting here, we're doing a podcast, drinking champagne, and our boy's there. So for me, that's the kind of perfect kind of balance where we can make Theo part of the life that we want to have, because ultimately, he's a huge part of it. He's a partner in this whole, machine that we have, and everything that we'll ever do is going to be for him. And if we have any more youngsters, it'll be for them as well. So that's the best career decision I've made. But because I've fit work around that. I count myself privileged that I'm allowed to do that.
Yes.
My employer is fantastic, and they allow me to keep my performance there and be a dad. At the same time, I'm very willing to do what is needed to make those two things balance. If you see me working till 11 p.m. or midnight, it's pretty standard. But equally, when I need to be a dad, I can be a dad.
Yeah, it's so true, and it's so important. And I think that is actually one of the really key things that we've done through this lockdown, is that if there's something that we want to do, we ask ourselves how to make it work, not if it can
100%.
work, and things like that. And that's
Perfect.
what we've done with Theo, with our personal growth, setting up AB.
Yes.
All of that we've thought about, what do we want to do and how do we make it work?
100%. And I think the way it all kind of culminates, guys, is when it comes to things like this podcast and our YouTube channel and the other things we do on social media. We still manage to try to be individuals. We still manage to be a couple. We are parents. We are siblings, sons and daughters. We're employees. We run our personal. We have a big personal portfolio. We do run our own businesses as well. Our own kind of in things there. So it all fits, right? And we have this kind of commitment as well. So I'm really proud of what we've achieved in terms of showing what is possible and what you can balance, and the amount of things you can actually get done, even when it seems like you don't have any time.
Yeah.
And we still managed to watch a lot of TV as well. I think we managed to watch quite a lot of TV. I think so. You may not. I certainly
go to bed earlier than you.
That's true. I go to bed between 2 and 3 a.m. every day, and I watch a lot of TV.
But no, it's true though. I think the point that you're making is you don't have to give up everything to do things that you want to do. You just get balance, you make it work, and that's a lot of trial and error, and it's fine if it doesn't work at different points and you change things, and it's not easy, but
100%.
If it means something to you, then you work hard at making it work.
100%, right? And the reality is that we've had more errors than successes. We are sometimes constantly at each other.
It's so true. We don't always agree.
Don't always agree. Jeez.
I'm putting it politely.
Yeah, we don't put it politely, right? We should be honest with our audience.
We really should. Yeah.
But look, guys, that's the reality, right? Oh, look, we've been together for donkey's years, but we fall out and kind of disagree all the time. But that's how I think, for me, I know we're quite strong as a couple, is because we still persevere. We still get together, and even if we're not on the best of terms, we still want to come together to learn from each other. We still share our information. We still want to bring our boy into it, and we still want to produce, share our information with all of you. That's what our purpose is, right? And it's to try and help as many people as we can during a really tough time.
Yeah. Again, I think you've summarised it beautifully.
Wonderful. Well, I'm glad. So, guys, given all of my beautiful summarising, then it's probably a good time to call it, because our little boy needs to go to sleep.
It is nap time.
We're going to have a birthday lunch.
Yes.
And well, frankly, the Premier League football season has just started. I'm a big football fan, so I also probably want to watch this afternoon's football as well.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
I will be watching it. It's not I want to. I will be. So should we call it a day?
Let's.
Brilliant. Well, look, guys, thank you for joining all three of us on this very special birthday podcast.
Yeah, and it really has been great. Thank you, and for your continued support. And we really just hope you found this episode useful.
Definitely. And guys, as ever, if you've got any comments, questions or anything, you can, the best thing to do is to find us on YouTube and then just to drop a note in the comments. That really is the most helpful. But look, anyone, you can email us at avoidingbroke@gmail.com, and you can find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Insta, and TikTok. And all of the handles there are Avoiding Broke. So you can find us there, and you can just drop us a comment and leave us any questions. We're very happy just to come back to you as soon as we can.
Most definitely. And yeah, we will be back next week with the podcast. And in the meantime, you can, like Jermaine said, check us out on social media and keep looking at the YouTube channel, because we will be dropping videos. Yeah,
that's a good one. So we do actually drop a lot of ad hoc content on YouTube. So go and link up with us on there. Drop a subscribe if you're finding value. And if you've got any feedback about how we can kind of mix this content up a little bit, let us know as well. Always willing to learn.
Most definitely.
Cool.
Okay, guys.
All right, guys. Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Have a good weekend. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.